Open world games. Games where you can explore and achieve things at your own rate. Or can you? Open world games used to be really special. It provided a whole new sense of freedom to gameplay that players hadn't been gifted before. Games like Grand Theft Auto 3 provided these huge maps with so much to do and so many places to see and explore, and they felt alive and real. The city didn't exist around the player just existed in the city. And not only did Grand Theft Auto perfect open world gameplay once, they did it again and again and again and again and again and again, and look, I could keep going. There's a lot of shit that Rockstar does right, and this is definitely one of them. Rockstar Games has always been able to provide the player with fiction so good it feels like reality. When I played Red Dead 2, I'm no longer a dude named Brandon from the Midwest who smokes way too much weed. I'm now a cowboy named Arthur Morgan. When I played GTA San Andreas, I'm no longer a 6'4" white boy who's a ginger. I'm now CJ from Grove Street.
Also, I have a fucking jetpack.
Rockstar's open world games aren't just great because of their open world, they also have great stories backing them up. In my opinion, an open world game doesn't achieve its full potential if it isn't backed by a good story. What's the point of exploring this huge world if I don't have any motive backing it? An unarguably great example of how good an open world could be is Skyrim. Sure, Skyrim isn't a perfect game, but the good outweighs the bad in so many ways in my opinion. Skyrim provides a huge open world that has so much to do. It's kind of astonishing. You don't have to follow the main plot, you can just do whatever the fuck you want. You can go wherever the fuck you want and be whatever the fuck you want. An even better example of this I almost forgot to mention is Breath of the Wild. This game and Skyrim are both examples of games that can work without the main plot. You have no direct motivation in Breath of the Wild, you just wake up and go. You figure out the game at your own pace as you continue to explore and learn. These games both provide the player with unique experiences that really test your limits. No two players' experience will be the same, which is kinda sick, because it allows for players to share their unique experiences and stories with each other. Minecraft is a definition of player freedom. You can literally do whatever you want in this game. You can build, you can mine, you can brew potions and start a religious cult around a sheep. Anything is possible, and that's why this game is so loved by many people. Some people still dismiss this groundbreaking game as a silly children's game, when in reality it's a game for everyone. Minecraft does have a story, but it's never the main focus. This game's story is that of which an individual player creates for themselves, and that's what makes it so magical.
No! Mom! No!
All these games have presented open world experiences like no other. They feel alive, lived in, and most importantly, real. Now let's talk about games that suck at open worlds. Take Watch Dogs for example. What the fuck can you do in Watch Dogs? Seriously, what the fuck can you do? Hunt out dudes who haven't paid their taxes and drive a bunch of cars that feel like toy remote cars and explore Chicago, which is apparently a peninsula nowadays? That's all dumb as fuck and whack as shit. I don't want to do it ever. Ubisoft has this problem with several of their open world games. The original Assassin's Creed games present you with this illusion of freedom and player choice, but they don't actually allow for it most of the time. For a majority of the game, certain areas are completely blocked off from you, which limits which ways you can travel. That's pretty stupid, especially in a game that's entire focus is free running. And the open world isn't even that exciting. Sure, exploring these historical cities is fun and the free running feels good, but there's only so many dudes I can stab and leaps of faith I can take before I get bored. And I'm not trying to attack Assassin's Creed or anything, hell I kinda like some of these games. But I will say all of these games struggle to create an actually engaging open world. That's not to say all of them are bad though, like Unity and Black Flag. Unity is fun because it has the best open world in the series and all of it's available to you from the beginning. I couldn't tell you how many hours I've spent exploring the nooks and crannies of Paris in this game, and with the series' most engaging combat yet, it's hard to get bored of this game. And Black Flag has these vast seas and various islands and cities to explore, all of which have personality and feel alive. And when you throw in these sick-ass pirate ship battles, you have quite the open world on your hands. I already talked about my love for these two games in a video I made like 2 years ago, so I won't go into too much detail because you get it. Assassin's Creed is able to create interesting and frankly beautiful open worlds, but often or not they aren't fun to engage with, which is a real shame. And that's kind of the inspiration behind this video. So many damn games default to these open world city environments, and while it's impressive as hell to look at, it has no substance. The reason I enjoyed playing San Andreas as a kid is because I had never seen anything like it before in my life. It had this huge detailed map that has so much shit to do in it. It blew my mind completely. Nowadays, an open world city is what I expect from most games. I don't care how big your map is if there's nothing to do in it. I like the New York setting of Spider-Man not because it's New York, but because I can swing around and explore it freely. It's not just stealing cars and running away from the police, which I've done before so many times. Some games have the opposite problem, like MGS5, which is technically open world but provides the player with nothing to do. You're in a desert the whole time. The only thing for the player to do is the enemy bases, and they're actually really fun. So the game kinda divides up the actual gameplay with nothing, which is not what you want to do. I don't want to ride my horse around a fucking desert just to kill a couple dudes. I just want to kill dudes all the time. But it's not like this game is restrictive, it actually provides the player with a lot of freedom. It's just that it misses the point of open world games completely. Once again, I don't care how good your map looks when there's nothing to do inside said map. Some games just don't need open world, but if you're so insistent on making it open world, at least give it some character. For example, Bully probably didn't need to be open world, but it is, and they did a really good job at it. That's not because it's extremely interesting like other Rockstar titles, but because it has so much damn personality. Every location feels unique, whether you're in the school, the town, or the fucking graveyard. Every location feels real, and that's why it's so fun to explore. I could keep going, but I'm probably going to make an entire video around this game's map in the future, and I don't want to spoil all of my opinions. I guess I'll conclude this video by saying an open world doesn't mean shit if you can't give the player interesting and unique things to do. For some reason, a lot of games feel the need to include the open world just because it's a standard at this point. I used to get excited at the idea of an open world, but nowadays it just feels empty. Exploring San Andreas doesn't have the same effect anymore because I've become completely desensitized to open world games because I've seen it so many times before. I would really like to see open world games improve in the future because it's gotten to the point where the highlights of my childhood aren't fun to me anymore. And that really sucks.